All right, this again is the speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1991. And this is sort of a compilation of the speeches that he gave right on or around or after the Shabbat, Tisha B'Av, just like this year. Tisha B'Av, the terrible fast day, commemorating the destruction of the first and second temples and the beginning of this terrible, torturous exile that we Jewish people have been in for the last almost 2,000 years. Tisha B'Av, it fell on Shabbat. When it happens on Shabbat, it's the opposite of what Tisha B'Av is. Tisha B'Av is supposed to be a day where you're very, pensive and introspective. It's not a happy day. And this Shabbat is supposed to be happy. In fact, it's supposed to be happier than any other because you're not supposed to show any sign of sadness. The Shabbat pushes away this Tisha B'Av totally, at least when it's Shabbat. As soon as Shabbat ends, then the fast begins again. Okay, if you put all this all together, the fact that the fast has been pushed off, and also the fact that it says in the Midrash that on the day of Tisha B'Av, that's when Moshiach was born. When the second temple was destroyed, that's when Moshiach was born. And also when the temple was destroyed, it says it was destroyed in order that it should be rebuilt even better. And it was destroyed on Tisha B'Av. So if you put all this together, it comes out that Tisha B'Av is externally terrible, but internally it's wonderful. When the Mashiach was born through the temple, and this year, even externally, it's good because it falls on Shabbat and we're not supposed to fast. And even more, this Shabbat, when Mincha comes, the last prayer of the Shabbat, as we read the Torah. We read a little bit in the Torah from the next week's Torah reading, and that is Et Hanan. Et Hanan means I beseeched. Moses is saying, I beseeched God. I pleaded to God. Et Hanan. I pleaded to God, let me come into the land of Israel. Let me be with the Jewish people. God, please recant. I know you decided I'm not going to go in, but we see you changed your mind when the Jewish people worshiped the golden calf. You said, I'll wipe them all out. You changed your mind. Right? And you changed your mind because of my prayers, Moses said. So maybe you'll change your mind here. So God said, no way. So Moses said another time, another prayer. Listen, God, I mean, you're kind. Come on, let me in. God said, no way. He said, listen, God, you're severe. You're severe. Take your vengeance on somebody else. God said, no way. Moses came up with 515 different prayers to God, different angles, to let him into the land of Israel. And God refused all of them. Says the Rebbe that God refused Moses' requests to enter the land of Israel then, temporarily. But for sure, God will answer them. For sure. And these prayers are standing for our merit of the Jewish people, reminding God, listen, you have to answer Moses. And God said, okay, don't worry about it. So we did this yesterday, but so automatically it's understood Tefillas Moshe, that the prayers of Moses to come to the land of Israel includes inside of him that also the Jewish people in his generation, the generation of the desert, right, the ones that died in the desert, they will also come with him into the land of Israel when in the future redemption. I say these people have already been in the desert 3,000 years. More. 3,330, whatever is years. Their bones, how are they going to come back? He says, don't worry about it. God will take care of it. All of the Jews are going to raise up in the dead. And Moses is going to bring them all into the land of Israel. Seems fantastic? It is fantastic, no doubt about it. Seems impossible? 100% impossible. Impossible. Can't happen. Can't happen. But God does the impossible. What's the proof? He created us, right? In this world, there is no such thing as creation. They call it creation. A person creates an idea, whatever, but nobody creates anything. In this world, you cannot create anything. You can take one thing and reform it and make it into another thing. You can discover things, right? Isaac Newton, he discovered. He didn't invent. Edison invented this. He didn't invent anything. He just realized that if you put certain things together, that it acts in a certain different way. Creation means taking nothing and to making it into something. We don't know what nothing is in this world. No one in this world can create anything. You can't create life, you can't create matter, you can transform energy to matter. God creates everything. That's impossible of the impossibles. In fact, God is creating me and you right now. He's creating the whole world right now. That makes sense? Totally not. It's impossible. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That's Jewish faith. That's Jewish faith. It's against common sense. It's against science. It's against everything. I mean, maybe somehow logically you can figure out that there should be such a thing. You read in the Tanya, he explains it. But the fact of the matter is it's totally illogical. It doesn't have to be that way. Right? It could be the world created itself. Who knows? Or just the world was always here. Maybe it was always here. I think that's more logical to say the world was always here than to say that God is creating it. The fact is God is creating it, but it doesn't make sense. Right? Makes sense. It makes just as much sense to say that it's just, happened accidentally. Like the joke, I'm sure you know the joke. I don't know if I told this joke that I attended, but I probably did. The young boy comes to his mother and says, Mommy, where do human beings come from? And she said, they came from God. He said, but Daddy said that we come from monkeys. His mother said, your father is right, but he's talking about his side of the family. I'm talking about my side of the family. In other words, it's just really as logical to say that we came from monkeys as that we came from God. In a way, it's more logical. Where did that first atom come from? Where did it come from? Okay, we didn't explain everything, right? But it's better than just to postulate God exists in it. Of course, on the other hand, God did give the Torah to the Jews, but it didn't really affect, God revealed himself. It didn't really have much an effect on the Jews. Then 40 days later, they all worshiped the golden calf. So it's sort of a good argument, but it's not convincing. Says that's the idea of Moses. But Mizeh, we can understand. Also, we can also learn for our generation. The Espashtus, the representative of Moses in every generation. That's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And also the Moshiach, the Moses, which is inside of each and every Jew, that notwithstanding the fact that he made all these requests and all the prayers the Jewish people have been making up to now, nevertheless, we have to learn from Moses and not give up, make another prayer, and God will answer. And we have to say, Ad Masai, how long? How long is it going to be, God, that you're not going to answer our prayers? Well, Boror is certain that these prayers and requests will be fulfilled immediately in a way of matnas chinam, that God will give it to us for free. Right? All the requests we make in the world, right? I mean, logically, it doesn't make any sense that we affect God. Just that God says, especially that God will bring this total redemption of the Jewish people. Look at the state of the Jewish people, terrible. says God will give a free gift. Shalo be'erich, incomparable to the service that we've done now. We'll have a true redemption by means of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Goel Rishon, Goel Achron. He's the first redeemer, like Moses. He'll be the last redeemer. That'll be Mashiach ben David. All the Jewish people will all go to the land of Israel. But Geula Nitzchah is an eternal redemption. There won't be any exile afterwards. And then the third temple will come down, an eternal temple, and it'll be ready, and it's already there. It's already prepared. What this means, I have absolutely no idea. But it says that the third temple is already prepared. It's already there. It's physical. It exists. I think the explanation is very simple. We don't know what physical is. We don't know what reality is. This whole world is a big lie. We don't really know what reality is. When reality is revealed, then we'll see the third temple. It'll come down. It'll be in Jerusalem. But nevertheless, it's going to happen. That's what it says in the Talmud. It's not just this Kabbalistic idea. The Indian said this is even stronger when we're finding now in 770, the place where the Rebbe is, which is a triple house. It's a Beit Knesset, place for prayer, Beit Midrash, a place of learning, or Beit Masim Tovim, and a place where we decide to do good deeds. Torah, Avodah, Gemilat Chasadim. And especially we're in the place of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, that he's the leader of our generation. He's the Moses of our generation. That this is something like a preparation for the third temple. Also, the third temple will also be a triple house. Beiti Beit Tefillah, like God said, my house, in other words, the holy temple, is a place of prayer. It's a place of Torah. That was where the Sanhedrin was, the high court was there. And Beis Kamil Sasadim was a place of how do you say, charity. The sacrifices. The sacrifices brought tremendous blessing to the world. And in this triple house that we're talking about, where there's Torah, prayer, and acts of kindness, Nimsim, we are now found in a Hasidic gathering, together with tens of Jews, a Rovam Hadras Melech, and a big group of Jews, that in addition to the fact that each one of the Jews is a Balabayit, he's like he controls his own existence, right? You control your decisions. How much more so that he controls his Metziuto Apratit, Vavodato Apratit of Adam Ki Yakriv. How much more so a Jew is the master over his service of God. Mikem. And by means of this, by means of deciding to serve God, by means of this, that's the idea of a korban. Korban means to come close. Makriv et kol inyani olam. He makes come close. He brings closer all of the things of the world that he has. Domem tsameach chayim adaber. It's abbreviation. The mineral things, the plant things that he has, the animal things, and the human things that he has. That in it is sheklulimbo, that are included in his life, right? The money you have, that's the mineral things. The food that you eat, that's usually the vegetable, the animal, and the human things that you do, what you say, what you think. You can elevate this, all of it, to the creator of the universe. Harizeh biyoter se'et. This is even in more power and more strength than it when it's done through tens of Jews. So, and they're all unified. Okay, so what's the Rebbe saying? We are doing everything we can to bring the third temple. And Tisha B'Av is the day when we see the third temple. It says we see it far away. And it says that the third temple was, first and second temples were destroyed only in order to build the third temple. And in fact, it says in the Talmud that the third temple is already there. It's in heaven waiting to come down. Just waiting to come down in some sort of, I don't know, spiritual essence level. And it's waiting to come down. Who knows how many millions of tons. The third temple is already ready. Said the Rebbe, this Shabbat, we can feel it. It's a Shabbat that pushes away Tisha B'Av. It's the Shabbat, and on Tisha B'Av it says Mashiach was born. And now we are gathered together in also a place just like the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple was devoted to three things. Torah, that's where the Sanhedrin was. Avoda, it says Beiti Beit Tefillah, prayer. And Gemilat Chasadim, doing the sacrifices, brings blessing to the whole world. That, says the Rebbe, is the same thing we're doing now in 770. It's a place of prayer. It's a place that's a big yeshiva, learning Torah. And also it's a place where they decide to do good deeds. And especially when there's a bunch of Jews together, all of us together, and we're all unified, that love and unity between the Jewish people, eradicates the reason that we are in exile. And because it eradicates the reason, so therefore it eradicates also the outcome, the exile. Immediately should come the redemption. And especially when we say that no safakol lakach, in addition to this, this is a very propitious and special time. This is Shabbat, the holiest day of the week. Tisha B'Av, of the worst day of the year, that Shabbat is negating it. Bizman, in the time of Tefillat Mincha. It says on Tefillat Mincha, that's when the Mashiach was born, it says. When there is made a strengthening, a new strengthening of the mazel of the Mashiach. It says that's when Mashiach was born, and on a person's birthday, it says that his mazel is strong. In addition to this, even more, this is in the year Tafshin Nun Aleph, 1991. This is, but the Rebbe used to make initials from it. Hey, Tafshin Nun Aleph is Haya Tihiyeh, it was and it will be. Shanat, a year, Niflaot, of miracles, Erenu, I will show you. Until the miracles of the future redemption, complete future redemption. Like it says, Erenu Niflaot. So of course, back then the redemption did not come in 1991, but we can say, and I think with great certainty, that it's just like Moses was not answered with his prayers. It doesn't mean that he wasn't answered. It wasn't answered then, he wasn't answered. But the fact that he made these prayers has its effect. And for sure, God will answer. The fact that the Rebbe made the statement, for sure it has its effect, and we'll see why it wasn't answered back then, why it will be answered now. From this, all we can understand this is now, this time, right now, and this place, this is a time and a place which is the most propitious, the most, fitting for the Mashiach to come immediately. So don't say to yourself, listen, Mashiach has not come for 2,000 years. Let's just forget the whole idea. You know, if he hasn't come for so long, it's not going to come. It's like waiting for a bus for 2,000 years, right? Waiting for a bus for 2,000 years. It started off, you were waiting for a horse and wagon. For 2,000 years you're waiting, it's a pretty good sign it's not going to come. You know, the bus stop where you're sitting, it's all wrecked and it's all laying on the ground. You're waiting in the rain and it's wind, and it's this. You try calling up the company, right? Where is it going to come? Nobody answers you. Right? It's okay. And every normal thing, you would say, listen, after a few years, especially after 2,000 years, that's it. Give up. Let's take the hint and live a normal life and just go on with your business. And that's it. Says the Rebbe, maybe everything else, but not Mashiach. Mashiach is a thing that's been promised. And Moses prayed 550 prayers. Those 515 prayers for sure will be answered. For sure will be answered. If for waiting for the bus or the wagon, the horse and wagon, you should give up, right? Come to your senses. For everything you should give up, right? Come to your senses, but for Mashiach, certainly not. Mashiach, certainly not. And not only that, we have no other option. There is no option. The world can't go on like this. It can't. Can't go on like this. That's the whole essence of what Judaism is. right? The essence of Judaism is that we're not waiting to go to heaven and we're not waiting for the after. We're not abandoning this world. This physical world is where God put us. This is where God wants to be revealed. God wants it. It can't be that it won't happen. It won't happen. If so, so we have to believe with a complete faith that the Moshiach, Melech came from the house of King David, that he's learning Torah and he does commandments just like David did. This is the language of the Rambam, of Maimonides. Ubator Mashiach Vadai. Not only that, he will be certainly a Mashiach. By means of what? By means that he'll succeed in everything he does, and he'll build the third temple in its place, and he'll gather all the Jews there. That he immediately will come into this synagogue, and he will come and he will redeem us, and he will bring us upstanding to our land. He'll take all of the Jewish people, Molich et kol bnei Yisrael, b'toch klal Yisrael, and all of the Jewish and every Jew, to the Holy Land, to the holy city, to the holy mountain, and to the holy temple, the third temple. Ka'amor, like we said, take of miyad mamish. This will happen immediately. Berega zu mamish, in this very second, on this Shabbat Tisha B'av, Tavshin Nun Aleph. We can substitute this a couple, 2 letters. Tav Pei Shin Beit. Kach Asiri Mincha, that the 10th day of Av, that's the day we're actually going to be fasting. Already the Holy Temple will be here, and that we won't have to fast. It'll be transformed to a day of joy, rejoicing, and joy. How much alachas kamuk? How much more so? On the 11th day of Av, that's the day after the fast day. This year we're going to fast on the 10th, right? This is the 11th day of Av. For sure, that's attached to what's called Echad Asar Yom Michorev. This is attached to what's called 11 days from Mount Sinai in our Torah portion. When God gave the Torah in Mount Sinai, there's 11 days afterwards, God revealed what's called the crown. The inside of the crown is inside of his will. Kafi, like the Torah is in its source. Right? 11 days after the Torah, above all the 10 sfirot. And together with this will be revealed the 11th sfirot, God's what's called his crown, his inner pleasure, and also all the other 10 sfirot that are used to create the world, the 10 commandments, the 10 utterances. This is all included in the 11th day of Av. And what does this mean to us? This means the blessedness of the Torah. Shernatan lanu et Torah to, that God gave us his Torah, the Torah of God. Chemdat genuza is God's hidden treasure, his precious treasure, the Torah. Ba'ad kafi shoraisa, and how it is will feel, how the Torah and God are totally one. Every letter, every sentence, every commandment will shine. That's the thing of Moshiach. To make the Torah new like the day it was given. We feel the godliness. Shabav and Nimshacha al Kahach, that will be drawn down all of the details of the Torah that the Jew learns with the 10 powers of his soul. That's the 11th day, it says. And similarly, there's also this revelation on the 11th day of every month. How much more so in this month of Av, that is attached to the future redemption, like we said before. This month, the worst month of the year, is actually the best month of the year. The Megillah, the Torah Chadasha, will be a revelation of the new Torah that's going to come from me, the completion of the 11th day after the Torah was given. We'll feel the new Torah. We'll feel how the Torah is brand new and alive. How much more so that there is this future, the future redemption in the days come after it. So on Sunday is going to be the fast, says the Rebbe. Hopefully that fast will be pushed away. The Beis Hamikdash will be here. The day after that, that's the 11th day. The day after that is going to be Vayi Erev Vayi Boker. The third day was the day when there was Tuesday, when God said twice, Ki Tov. That God doubled and redoubled the connection with the redemption. The fourth day, that's the Yom, the day that God coupled up with the first day, when God was alone. The fifth day. It was every day of the week is a propitious day and a special day when Moshiach is supposed to come immediately. How much more so this coming Friday? I mean, sorry, not this coming Friday, the Friday after this one week from tomorrow. What's the date going to be then? It's going to be the 15th day of Av. It says the 15th day of Av, it says in the Mishnah Tainit, we talked about that before, is the happiest day of the year. That and Yom Kippur. Happiest days of the year. Yom Kippur was happy because the Jews got forgiven of all their sins. The 15th day of Av was happy because the moon was full. It was a sign that God still loves the Jewish people despite the destruction of the 9th day of Av. It was a happy day, and the Mishnah explains why it was so happy. That's the day when the moon is complete and Jewish people are compared to the moon. The month of Av, the Jewish people, they're similar to the moon, and the Jewish people were being renewed like the moon. So all of these wonderful signs we have this Shabbat. God willing, tomorrow, which is going to be Friday, at 8:30 in the morning, 8:15, we'll complete this. We'll complete this beautiful discourse of the Rebbe that hopefully it'll have its effect and we'll really be expecting with all of our hearts, all of our minds, all of our being, all of our soul, the Mashiach immediately. Now let's do the Yom Yom. The letter in beginning, Potchin Bivracha. This is in the Tanya. There are 5 books of the Tanya. The 4th book are letters that the Rebbe wrote. Letters that the first Rebbe wrote, explaining some very deep ideas in Kabbalah and Chassidut. And the letter that starts off Potchin Bivracha was written 10 years before the letter that starts Katonti. Now, this letter Katonti was written by the Rebbe when he got out of prison. He was put into prison by his enemies. And when he got out of prison, and this was a sign from above that he should start really spreading out Hasidut. And the other letter, which starts off with Potchin B'Baracha, it's the first letter in these holy letters that's written over there, the importance of learning the Torah, as that was written 10 years before. Good. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, God willing, at 3 o'clock, we will learn the Haftorah of this week. And we'll see. Maybe we'll learn more about the Holy Temple, or we'll learn Pirkei Avot. Have a good day. Hope to see you all at 3 o'clock.